The Maine Supreme Court will be hearing oral arguments in the case of a single mom who has been barred by a custody order from taking her 12-year-old daughter to church or religious organizations. According to the custody order, the father took issue with his daughter attending Calvary Chapel Church in Portland because it teaches the Bible verse by verse, chapter by chapter. So he hired a sociology professor who testified in court that it was evident that the church posed a potential for psychological harm to the girl. Wow. Absolutely incredible. So what's at stake at this case, not just for the mother and the daughter, but more broadly? Well, joining me now to discuss this is Matt Staver. He's the founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, which will argue in behalf of the mother, Tamara. Matt, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Thank you, Jody. I wish that your description was an exaggeration, but sadly it's not. It's actually even worse.
Yeah, that's
can think.
That's what I wanted to say. Did I miss something here, or is this for real? It's unbelievable.
For real. It's for real. We weren't the trial attorneys, but we are the appellate attorneys, and we don't get involved in a lot of domestic custody type of cases unless they have a real significant religious freedom component, and this one certainly does. It jumps off the page. So this particular mother, Emily Bickford, she had Ava out of wedlock with Matthew Bradeen over 12 years ago, and Ava now is 12. In January, she'll be 13. And so from the time that she was born until now, Ava has been in the primary custody of her mom, Emily, and Matthew has had visitation rights. So Emily and Ava started attending Calvary Chapel Church in Portland in May of 2021. And then Ava, as an 11-year-old, wants to get baptized. Well, that sends Matthew Bradeen ballistic. So he runs to court, finds a sympathetic judge, brings this, as you said, the so-called individual from California, a former sociology professor, who testifies that churches that teach the Bible verse by verse, chapter by chapter, that believe in heaven, hell, angels, demons, salvation, and the second coming of Jesus, that those are cultic, and they follow a Moses model when you have an authoritative right and wrong position based upon the Bible. That's the Moses model. You know, we thought Moses was a great leader. She turned it into a bad example. And so the judge bought that. And then in the order, Jody, I've never seen this. Every time the judge in this order mentions God, it's lowercase. Now, everyone knows what that means. Instead of having an uppercase G-O-D, God, that signifies a significant supreme being, she lowercased it, mocking the monotheistic religion and faith of Emily and Ava, because lowercase God means multiple gods. It means polytheism. So she not only did that, she also says, by the way, that there's no evidence of harm to Ava from being introduced to anything associated with the Bible. But these kinds of teachings about heaven and hell, right and wrong, demons and angels, the second coming, and so forth, and having salvation only through Jesus Christ and teaching the Bible, those kind of teachings, even though there's no evidence of harm, they have the potential to cause psychological harm. So she removed all decision-making from the mom and put it into this atheist. And since December of 2024, Emily has not been able to take her daughter to any church, religious event, Christmas event, Easter event, hasn't been able to have Bible studies with her, nothing. She couldn't go to a funeral. She couldn't go to a wedding. She cannot associate with any person with Calvary Chapel of Portland that she's had friends for almost 4 years. She had to completely cut them off based on this court order. And it doesn't just apply to Calvary Chapel. It applies also to reading the Bible, having any exposure to religious literature, videos, or religious philosophy, whatever that is. This is unbelievably broad and unconstitutional.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, this is a massive overreach, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
so what are the implications of this? What are the broader implications of this order, man? I mean, I know it's specific to this family, but what potentially could go beyond this?
Well, we're at the Maine Supreme Court now, so it affects the entire state of Maine. And then in other states rely upon other state Supreme Courts for precedent. And so this will set precedent not only for Maine, but for other courts as well. If this is upheld, what this does to parents who are Christians is allow someone to have a total, absolute veto that's not reviewable by anyone, just an absolute veto over anything regarding Christianity, church, Bible, events, you name it, friends, all of that combined. That's why it's so significantly important. It's unbelievable that it's actually in print, but it is. And now it's at the Maine Supreme Court. So continue to pray for Emily Bickford and her daughter, Ava, and also, even for Matthew, that he has a change of heart. But the implications of this, Jody, are far beyond just this case. It affects people all over the country.
So what needs to happen here, and what do you anticipate is going to happen?
Well, there'll be 6 justices on the Maine Supreme Court, and we need to obviously get a majority of those to win this case. But we actually are raising the First Amendment under the United States Constitution. So if the Maine Supreme Court doesn't go the right way, we still have the U.S. Supreme Court as a backup. However, as you know, it's hard to get cases before the Supreme Court. They only take about 1%. So really, this is the ultimate battle. So pray for Emily Bickford and her daughter Ava that we have a resounding victory.
All right, the fact that the judge used a little g for God here, would this also apply not just to Christianity, but any kind of religious teaching from any position that may
Absolutely.
be deemed religious?
Yeah, in fact, we've actually made this argument that it's insulting to all different religions that are monotheistic, particularly, Christianity and Judaism. And to even use the phrase Moses model as though it's a bad thing. It's really an insult against Christianity and in our Judeo-Christian faith.
Absolutely. Unbelievable. We will be following this. Thank you, Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Always great to have you. Thank you for this. And Godspeed. God be with you and all tomorrow as you deal with the Maine Supreme Court. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Jody. My pleasure.